Alright. Alright. I think we're all set. Howdy, Xavier. How are we doing? Yeah, Mike's working, everything's good. Okay. Don't forget they also had unique names in 1.0. Oh yeah, don't worry, with runes. The more important thing for me when it comes to runes and stuff is looking at, how do we put it? It's more important for me to look over and see, what the current runes descriptions are than their names, because yeah, obviously they don't have names. But of course, there was in fact useful lore in the descriptions. I just can't confirm if it's still applicable to the final game because like our lowlander you know, like there might be times where, you know, placements were done with the new names and descriptions in mind, not anything that they had before launch and stuff. So that's the biggest concern. But in terms of the lore itself, when they talk about like Highlander and Lowlander and stuff in the runes and things, that stuff's definitely useful. We find that reference in a lot of different places, and it helps more clearly define how they were thinking of the regions in the Lands Between. Like, I've used the term Lowland versus Highland, I think, several times already in my analyses. But yeah, so I posted in the Discord a pretty decently detailed breakdown on runes, the descriptions, the areas you find each in. I want to do a simplified version, which like sort of like, you know, condenses them by type more. I kind of do that with how I organize them into like little like, you know, quoted sections, but I think I could do better. So let's see. Hey, no, Bray. So let me look at this properly. Alright, so we have several tiers. We have 1 to 2 runes, which are like your basic baby runes. You have 3 to 5 runes, right? I should say 1 to 2 runes, so it says, runes serve as nourishment for a tarnished growth if there is the help of a finger maiden. So, basically just kind of, you know, giving the tutorial for runes for new players, right? Then you get to tier 3 or 5, where they get a little stronger. They're not crazy, but they're getting there. Runes harbor the power of life even now. You can probably see it, the golden tree towering tall. This seems to at least imply that there's a correlation between the runes you receive and the Erd Tree, and thereby potentially proximity to the Erd Tree by extension. So that I find interesting, but it doesn't really say that much more. It could also just be highlighting the fact that, you know, the power of life is embodied by the Erd Tree. Let's see. Then you get to tiers 6 through 9. Which is then like, those born at the base of the golden tree are special. Citizens of the plateau yet believe that. So this goes to the idea that 6 to 9 runes are essentially Altus citizen runes, right? Or if you want to simplify even further, we could just say Altus runes, which I think is interesting. Then you get to 10 to 13, which is the golden tree's grace was more pronounced. This word means like, you know, thick in color even, so, you know, there's a sort of like, you know, there's a wordplay there, right, obviously, with the grace of gold and all that. But the idea is that, you know, it was brought a more pronounced color to those who served at its beginning, right? So this goes back to the idea that when you see 10 to 13 runes, you're expecting, like, you know, people who were, you know, at the founding, generally speaking. Like, these are the ones who receive the most power from the Erd Tree, potentially directly. So it's more than just being on Altus and receiving it passively. There's some sort of direct involvement, it sounds like, there. Bats will drip rune 3s, I think, and the Harpy Bats will guarantee a drop of 7 on first kill, and the Jellyfish by the Snowfield will drop 3s, and they're the only ones that drop runes. Yeah, you know what? This is also another thing that's very interesting to me, is the Bat Ladies. The Bat Ladies, I think, from what I've seen looking at the Discord stuff, is that they... I only saw 2 examples, but I'm wondering if it's true for all of them. But they seem to guarantee higher tier runes. So does that mean they're all citizens of Altus, who transformed into Batwomen and then left? Or, this is a big or, do they just have something where they're gathering runes and this means that they end up with a bigger rune? That I don't know. I assume they eat people. Here's the thing, though. Like, who are they eating? That leads them to guarantee that would be my question. Maybe you're right, Xavier. I have to see if it correlates where we find them and the type of runes we're getting, right? Alright, so, Then you get to Newman runes, which, duh. Hero runes, there were heroes on the battlefield once. They were strongly graced by the Golden Tree, accomplished meritorious deeds, and died. That one I think is also pretty self-explanatory. I think for the most part, those would be people who were fighting on behalf of the Erd Tree. They participated in the founding, but they were, you know, obviously more instrumental, so they received greater power, right? So I think that one is pretty, you know, self-explanatory. Maybe there's more nuance to some of them, but I don't know. And then there's Lord runes, which is there was a fate to become king once. When the Elden Ring was broken, it became a distant mission. I now have to wonder, because the Lord ones I find especially interesting, because where we acquire them is one from the Leyndell Erdtree avatar, which makes me wonder, that guy just spawns in and he has a Lord's rune. I wonder if that's alluding to Radagon, like Radagon's runes, like are like, you know, part of that and like are getting channeled into the avatar from being sealed in the Erdtree. I don't know. Farum Azula fountain, which is like, huh? Mogwyn in front of a tombstone, huh? And then two at the Haligtree, one from a Haligtree avatar. So I'm wondering if it's something like the Haligtree corpse one is from for Melania. The Haligtree Avatar one is for Miquella. The Mogwyn one is for Ancient Dynasty. The Farum Azula one is for, obviously, you know, Placky and his god. And then the Leyndell Erdtree Avatar, like I said, would be for, this would be for, what's the word? Just, you know, just Radagon in general. I said before that both the Erdtree and Haligtrees have an avatar that drops lore runes and another that drops the staff. Yeah. But my point is that I find it interesting how when you limit it more than just the avatars, but to just looking at all the Lord runes, this is the distribution. Now, maybe you can make a case that the Mogwyn one is also for Miquella, because Miquella is there. Maybe. I don't think it's for Mohg. As far as I'm aware, I don't think Mohg is an Empyrean. There's none for Ranni, though. There could also be a Melina connection I'm not making. I don't know, I feel like if that was the case, we'd have found it in, like, you know, we found it in, like, Mount Gelmir or something. Another possibility is that the Lord thing, like with Farum Azula, is not connected to Placky, per se. It has more to do with, you know, the path we take after burning and stuff there, right? The idea that this is, like, someone who has, like, a, you know, destiny of a lord or something. But I don't know, it feels weird to me that you have, the, you know, specific, you know, we're not someone that I think we have to build up our runes and stuff like that. So it feels like the whole destiny of a lord thing would have to be something, you know, more special, I would assume. Either way, I find it interesting. Especially considering Placky exists as, like, Elden Lord and stuff. It's interesting to have a corpse that has a Lord's rune in the middle of a like empty fountain and stuff. So I don't know how much of that is symbolism, how much of that should be taken seriously in terms of storytelling. That one I just find very interesting overall. And then there's the locations for runes. So 1 through 5, I don't think we care. They're pretty generic. You can find them everywhere, I'm pretty sure. I think they're just there to help pad out the areas. We mostly find them in these obvious beginning areas, so obviously there's the idea that they are farther from the Erdtree overall and are not receiving the most grace. But then we start getting to, like, 6. This one I find interesting because it seems to imply that we get one in Redmane Castle, one in Warden's Catacombs, and stuff like that. Yeah, this is another reason why I would love if I had it grouped by full tiers and stuff. One of the Altus graveyards has a corpse with it, I'm pretty sure. We find them in Shaded Castle, Old Altus Tunnel. And we can say that pretty much all the way through 9, like 9 in Lane, Golden Rune 9 is in Leyndell's and stuff. Sealed Tunnels, Snowfield, Farum Azula, ×2, Deeproot, Lake of Rot. The Lake of Rot stuff is most interesting for me because there's a lot of overlap between these runes and Lake of Rot, Nokstella, Ainsel. So that's like, okay, there's actual corpses with these runes in the middle of Nokstella. which sort of adds to the idea that it looks like there's some conflict with the Nox. So maybe the destroyed buildings. I want to check this for actual real quick. We also get like one rune from here, and I previously associated, you know, what we got here with up here, which again makes sense to me because, you know, there's people who are fighting and dying here, so you might get the occasional 5 or 6 rune that they'll drop here to allude to battles and stuff that happened. But here's a question I've had now. So since before, right? Let's go this way. So since before we actually went through and opened up this hole here. Oh, let me turn this down. Like game's a little loud. Ah! I thought I almost had a Loki moment. If you didn't get the shot already, the overworld skulls have glowing gold light in their eye sockets, if I recall correctly. The overworld skulls. The ones that have runes in them, they have glowing gold eyes. I don't know about the, I don't know about the regular skulls. I'm pretty sure those are just, you know, regular skulls you kick around whenever they appear. There we go. So before we, so this section and stuff, maybe it could be all caused by the destruction of the thing. I can believe that, sure. We find a corpse here. I think this is soporific grease. Ah! Wow. I managed to have a Loki moment. The ones that drop rune 1, yeah, okay. So yeah, that does go back to the idea of, you know, those with the grace of gold and stuff. I feel like it doesn't just apply to that, though, because we get runes from... Obviously, we get runes as just, like, random drops from enemies in general, even Nox, but... What about, Oh, yeah. What about, Yeah, what about those who don't necessarily follow the Erdtree religion stuff and don't have in their eyes? They have runes, too. Do any of them drop, golden rune items? The jellyfish do, which is curious. You get rune rod also from rats. That makes sense though, because rats are like corpse eaters and stuff, right? So I would not be that. I do not think that's that crazy. I wonder if that's what the idea with the jellyfish is too. That the jellyfish are actual people's bodies turned into spirit jellyfish things. And that's why they have like golden runes and stuff on them, because they had them when they were alive. Hey, so this has soporific grease in it. But then we definitely 100% see these two buildings knocked over as soon as we enter. Which leads me to think that anything outside this door, we would have to say has to predate the meteor strike. It also makes sense because it's a bit far from the meteor strike, so it's harder to imagine this having an effect. Might have just taken their runes with them. Maybe. Yeah, that'd definitely be a lot deeper in the cosmology thing. Alright. Yes, we have some of this a little knocked over. This knocked over. That knocked over. That. I'm wondering then if all the destruction should be blamed on, I'm wondering if all the destruction here then should be blamed on the mercenaries. Right, so there's that's the passage we take. Oh! Alright, I've got the look I wanted, so let's go from this angle now. And then we go this way. Woo! Come on, up. There we go. There we go. Hey, buddy. Yeah, nothing special here. Should pick these up, though, when I find them, because, you know, we're always in need of more of these goddamn stones for light. Yeah, then we got these guys here. Yeah, hey, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm willing to more credit this to these guys here. With the way the area is laid out, right? You go through the meteorite zone, you exit, there's more ruined buildings that you see from beforehand. You get past some of the silver tiers and stuff. You get to these guys. Some of the corpses here have Alta Citizen runes and stuff of that nature. It's all consistent there. We have the Golden Order stuff. Yeah, okay, okay. The Fundamentalist stuff. Okay, yeah. Yep, these are no Erdtree designs here. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't help the Fallen Hawks cause to be collapsing several Nox skyscrapers either. Again, the point is just to convey destruction and stuff. I think you're looking too deep into it. Let's go. Estelle? Nah, I don't think this is Estelle. There's no pathway for Estelle here. This is way too. Try to say a detour here. Yeah, no. Don't buy that for a second. That just sounds patently ridiculous. I'm curious now. Ooh, actually. Causing some of the destruction here that caused collapses and things like that, that would explain a few things with what we find in this area immediately below. Mercenaries aren't good archaeologists. Yeah, that's for sure. If anything my history books have told me, when you hire a bunch of mercenaries, all you're gonna get is dynamite. No, but yeah, so we have all this here. And that would then explain also, not potentially the Shifa River stuff. Actually, wait, maybe there is. I don't remember, actually, if there's any destruction, like, in this area. No, that's gonna kill me, I remember that. Yeah, I remember this being relatively still complete and stuff. Yeah, I get you. We got the Fundamentalist boy here. That's cute. Oh, there is a little bit. There is a little bit. So there's this bridge here with a corpse there. So I can't say it's entirely impossible. There might actually be a correlation here. Yeah, we find a little guy there. Another one of our Golden Centipede boys. More stuff over here. Though God knows where that was going to lead. Yeah, just a little more fundamentalist stuff here. And that takes us all the way over to here. Okay, so there's a little bit there. So yeah, it's possible that instead of Estelle, in this case, this could just be the result of the Fundamentalist and Fallen Hawks and etc., etc. You know? This could be an alternative explanation and stuff. Because we do find corpses with the Altus runes and be above, you know, along places like here. So they've definitely been traveling up and around and trying to get through and things. The statues are headless. Which ones are we talking about? The demigod corpses or different statues? Fallen Nox would have had to traverse Nokron to reach the part that has entire buildings knocked on their side, though. Well, considering that the areas are in ruins, you can always hand wave that as, and again, this goes back to my point of don't try to think too much about travel paths unless the game highlights it, like in the case of Estelle, as I've talked about with the trail, you know, left through here, and then, you know, somewhere like here, yeah, right. So, I think in the case when we're talking about like how they get there, you can always hand wave it as, you know, oh, you know, before some of this destruction of ruins, there's like some doorway or passages to other parts of Nokron ruins or whatever that we don't go to, right? So from what we see here, it would be something like, okay, we have Estelle at Deep Root Depths, goes down here. And then either the argument would be has to go here, right? Gets repelled, again leaves one thing here, and then goes through here, or just skip Noxtella entirely, right? Skipping Noxtella entirely was my original idea. The destruction led me to think that maybe could have taken a detour through here. But if we can instead blame this on the fundamentalists and stuff, then yeah, it would just be fully going down this way. And Nox were just like, oh god, that thing narrowly avoided us. Let's try to rot that thing out. If it takes a meteorite to open the direct path to Upper Nokron, that feels like a strong way to imply no passage existed. Not really. Again, because you're assuming that the passage, which would have to have never existed, was not there, including long before Ronnie and company were trying to get in through that way, right? Again, like, there's two options with the Fallen Hawks: Ronnie, or fundamentalists. And then the question with the fundamentalists would be: are they all hired by Morgott? Could they be like lingering people working for Miquella or whatever, right? So those would be the other two options there, and that'd be assuming they want to get back to Godwin and stuff. Obviously, fundamentalists are just like, yeah, we want to kill the King of Death, Prince of Death, and all that. But again, when were the Fallen Hawks originally hired? Was it during the Tarnished? Before the Tarnished? Before, I doubt before the assassination plot and stuff, right? But, like, the timeline and stuff would be important. And if we're trying to say that, like, you know, Fallen Hawks were maybe, like, say, again, going with the Ronnie scenario, that Ronnie's first attempt to try to get in there, then yeah, maybe they did find passages and ways to get into Nokron and stuff and find their way around, try to make their way all the way over to, Deep Root or whatever. But then those passageways got sealed and stuff. Caves collapse, you know, things happen, you know, wanton destruction and stuff. Nox maybe trying to seal their own passageways or whatever. Well, then Ronnie's now shit out of luck. And that already gives us a good explanation for why they go with the meteorite. No. That the Crucible Knight with the Sea. It's very clear looking at it that there's a trail from the aqueducts and stuff where we go from the Deep Root Depths going down this way. It's like, okay, you get gargoyles, you get some gargoyles. Oh, no, that's not the wrong way. Oops. You get gargoyles like here, right? Gargoyles here. Then we're gonna give you some Crucible Knights here. Then we're gonna give you the Curse Eye of what's her face at the bottom, and then we'll add a boss, Nox, what's the call? Dragonkin Soldier here. And then we're gonna keep going, falling down, and then we'll get to this one over here, and we'll have a bunch of land octopus here to talk about more eating up all the bodies and stuff. So there's a very clear trail thing happening here. So no, I do not believe for a second the Siluria and Ordovis Knights have anything to do with that party. Especially when we're seeing them like over the bodies of some of the fundamentalists potentially. not like Blythe can dig his way there to reopen a passage with paper that takes heavens with the earth. The city's access through a broken wall. Again, who's to say that's more practical than... Again, what's the extent of the damage? How is it, you know? How many forces would it take to help to undig any destruction or damage? Is that even reasonable? What if the destruction or damage is actually not removable? Or at the very least, it would take an absurd amount of time to remove it. Versus, again, the alternative, which is what we take, which is looking for another way in, and failing that, as Blythe assumes, let's just go to the Radon Festival, kill Radon, and have the stars get moved. Oh yeah, some of the statues are broken and defaced here. Yep. I didn't even notice that. I thought they were all normal. How often do we see that, actually? Two here. Ow. Two here. Good, still not technically in combat. Ow. Don't need to be in combat, though. I didn't realize that thing actually hurts you by just rolling like that. Whoops. Crucible Knights and Fallen Hawks overlap, though, so do technically the Gargoyles. And? So do technically the Crucible, so do technically the Ordovus Knight and the Far Missoula peeps. Alright, so let's see. Another 1/3, a 4th. Yeah, it's not many, but there are a few. Yeah, that would explain why we have silver tiers all the way up in the church then, if there's a little bit of destruction of these statues from, like, fighting and stuff. And those silver tiers turn into, if I recall correctly, they also do the Fallen Hawk mimic thing. With the shields and spears or whatever. Cool. Cool. Alright, so looking at some of the other stuff we got here. Because Night Sky, you're not looking at the bigger picture, you're seeing with the actual trail that's very clearly being established through it when you look at it from that angle. You got the Curse Eye there at the bottom of the waterfall. You go up to the top of the waterfall. Oh, there's the Crucible Knights. You go farther in right before the entrance to Deep Root Depths. Oh, you find the Gargoyles. Oh, you get to Deep Root Depths. There's a bunch of Gargoyles that got destroyed and stuff from the thing of this. Like, you can very clearly see what is being, and like I said, if you go all the way down to the bottom, like to the bottom of the waterfall, you got all the land octopuses gathering up there, and they love their blood. And so there's a very clear, story being told about trying to talk about the bodies and things and stuff that escaped from that Deep Root Depths area, which is why I would say it's very clearly tried to be separated from what we see with the Fallen Hawks and things. Anyway. So let's see, looking at the stuff that I consider more important. Also, another interesting thing is Liurnia, the balloons apparently use the Altus runes, the Golden Rune 6, not you, the Golden Rune 6s. It's like the runes you get here. Well, congrats, Night Scout. I disagree. Like, there's nothing really more that I can say to that, then. So yeah, these guys... Yeah, we only see cuckoos here. And then they have the balloons over here, and that's where they drop the, balloons here should drop the, 6s, right? Is that true for all of the balloons? Does that include... Because we also have ones all the way over here, right? I mean, I guess you could theoretically say some of those could belong to Godric's forces, but it'd be really convenient. I don't know. I guess you could also argue maybe gathering. The thing is, I don't know what causes a golden rune to form versus a bunch of like mini, runes that we get. Like, is it kind of just like, I don't know, like a blood clump or something? I don't know. Like you get just a bunch of, particularly thick, dense runes or something, and then they form into their own bigger rune. The balloons also seem to be made from drakes. Ah, that's true as well. I didn't even think about that detail. Yeah. Them being made from drakes explains a lot, actually, about the... That explains a lot about some of the behaviors up here, and obviously by our buddy here. Because it could be that a bunch of the drakes that were living in Liurnia were getting attacked and killed by the Academy and stuff to create their offensive balloons. And maybe Rune 6s were used with it? I don't know. That require... Yeah, that I do not know. Ooh. Yeah, I got nothing there. The only thing I can think of is that either A, it's mostly because of the Godric forces, or B, there were loyal members of the plateau and stuff, whom... Yeah, there were loyal members of the plateau and stuff who were essentially killed for not going along with the Academy and the Cuckoos and whatnot. Right, like you have a bunch of Altus natives who are like, no, we have to stay with the homeland and whatever. We have to keep our solidarity. Don't sell yourself out. But then they sold themselves out. That's the only thing I got for that one. Liurnia Highway North in front of the Puppet Troll Knight. That one's an interesting one as well. Maybe that could tie into what we're talking about. If it has anything to do with Godric. Because I don't think that would make sense if there were, like, loyalty. It's like, oh yeah, we have the corpse in the middle of this battlefield, like, contested zone. The few that we find, also, we find some of these, Altus runes in, we find one in, the Lunar Estate ruins and the other in the Moonfolk ruins. So, that might be trying to imply that there's been, interactions between the capital nobles and... the Carian nobles and regular, Carian, the common folk under the nobles at the Moonlight Altar, which could explain the fashion choices. Yeah, the Bat Ladies, Deeproot. We find obviously we find lots of Deeproot, including in the coffins. Not seeing a whole lot. I might have labeled under Shifra, though. I might have done that, yeah. Gelmir, Coffin Cemetery. Yeah, that's another one that I find interesting. One in Wyndham. One in Altus Tunnel. Yeah, these are what you would expect, right? If you find them in Altus, you expect them. Lake of Rot's a bit unusual. Noxtella's a bit unusual. Yeah, the especially interesting one to me is the Tens. Because Tens belong to, like, founders, right? So we have, like, Erdtree founders. You know, the Prime sub members. So we got, like, 5 in Noxtella. That's kind of crazy. 4 in Lake of Rot. 1 in General Ainsel. Like I said, we got the Lunar Estate ruins for one of these. Flame Peak. Like, some of those, like, you find those on, like, the snowfields and stuff. I'm not too surprised there, obviously, because, you know, heroes, you know, those who contributed, yada yada, right? Like, that all sounds consistent to me. Haligtree, though, has a lot. So, what I'm noticing is that there's a number in Caelid, which seems to be trying to suggest that a good number of Radahn's army and stuff are made up of Altus natives, and a few from the founding. Ironically, I think we see that more than we ever see that with anything in Stormveil with Godric, right? So, Yeah, I don't think Stoneville Castle has any of these. Volcano Manor, Lake of Rot, Guardian's Garrison. That's not crazy. Langdell, Snowfield, FA for 11s now. Mogwin. Mogwin ones? I don't... Do you guys think it would be more so that they're associated with Moog? Or more so... Because I'm trying to think, because we also see, like, stone... We also see some, like, glass stones and stuff, which makes sense from the context of coming over from the Snowfield. So I'm wondering how many... Because there's some in the Snowfield are clearly, like, stuff like, you know, migrants from Langdell to Mikkola and things like that. So, do some of those end up in Mogwin, like we see some of the glassmithing stones, and we see with some of the Albinorics? Or does Moog actually have, like, a contingent of people who, from the founding, who are like, yes, new dynasty? That seems a... maybe. Also, we get runes from defeating the treasure chest nobles. One in Altus gives you a 12. I don't know how useful that is, though. Because presumably you can find at least one in, like, every area, right? So... Huh. And... Mountaintop, Snowfield, Mogwin, Highling Tree, Shifra, don't care there. Newman in the Kaled Divine Tower is a bit interesting. One for Dialos, we got the fat ants in the Deep Root. There's also fat ants in Ainsel, right? But do those have Newman, or is it something else? Then you have a few in Highling Tree, which again I find interesting, and one in Mogwin. Again, I don't know if that's the supposed to kind of signal that, oh hey, you know, Newman Lake Nox are here, or if it's something deeper. And then you get to the hero graves. Sorry, not hero graves, hero ruins. Too used to all the dead stuff. Which we find one in the hidden path to the Highling Tree, which I find very interesting. It's really now making me wonder if the hidden path to the Highling Tree was actually just a graveyard made during the Giant War. I don't know how much I buy that, though. Like, the only, again, the alternative would be that maybe it has to do with some, like, secret oh. Yeah, I still don't know what that graveyard is for. Because it's made with, it's made with Sorcery Flame, too, right? So it has to have help from Ordina or something. Maybe astrologers? I don't know, but it's supposed to be hidden. That one's a bit weird to me. You also have the hero grave on one of those sinners that the Salernian Knight has offered up at the church, that's weird. I have no idea what to make of that. Yeah, it's all sorcery here, so... Yeah, some sorcerers involved in construction here. You also have land octopuses that really wanted to get in. And I guess the idea is because there's water down here? I wonder if this water could be connected to the rivers at all. I don't... maybe? I don't know. That one's probably a stretch. And then we go over here. Yeah, we just find, like, normal, like, 12s and 10s and things. Some in Shunning Ground, again, not shocker. Some in Lingdell, Altus, a few in Far Missoula, which may or may not be significant. Some in Volcano Manor for the 9s and things. Yeah, the biggest outliers are the ones we find in Shifra. Find them in Shifra, Nokron, Noxtella, Ainsel. But we also find goldsmithing stone, so that sort of fills in that gap. Moonfolk ruins, like I said, the Moon Noble stuff is also a bit interesting. The Bat Ladies, again, the only thing I can think of is if the Bat Ladies were once human, right? That they would be Altus natives. Like maybe I don't know if this makes sense though. But like maybe you can make a case. Maybe you can make a case for like either a separate attempt to become like Misbegotten and they became Bat Ladies, or some kind of experiment that America may have been doing. Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Okay. So there was at least they were intended to. I think there's like a coffin cemetery around here. Yeah, somewhere around here, I think. Nah, it has to be down here more, right? No. God, I got myself all turned around. Yeah, because I remember there being a rotted... Yeah, there's a rotted guy here. So you have a few Alta stuff here, so that makes sense. We also have more along the path and stuff, just kind of randomly strewn about. Oh. Some Golden Room 1. Golden Room 11. Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. Golden Room 3s. So they seem to definitely have, like, some of the lower grade runes always mixed about with stuff, especially with these coffin cemeteries. Yeah, then we got a 6 here. So we got a 6, an 11, a 9. Yeah. So there's always, like, a mixture of them, but... Okay, yeah. So you have, like, 1 from this one. None, I guess, from here. I think it's, like, 1 from up here. Yeah, like the one we get from around here somewhere. The village. Or the church. And that over... Oh. God damn it, I invaded. I swore I saw an item here, but whatever. So yeah, there's one that we get here. I think I've already looted it, probably, yeah. I think also one around here. Yeah, I've already looted the one here. Which would connect King's Realm potentially to the same thing that we see on Moonlight Altar. Which again makes sense if the idea is that these... If these are supposed to be nobles who come from Moonlight Altar and had relations with the Highlanders. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if we have... Oh, yeah, we also have the nobles at Castellensis, right? Because we have some in Caria Manor, but they have pages with them that use the perfuming. So I don't know if they're... And they don't do the teleportating thing, right? These guys do, though, if I recall, right? I guess you could always make an argument that they're Erdtree nobles who have learned more deeply by staying with... Castle cross message. Shadow Tree fragment. I guess you can always make the argument that they, oh god, I'm gonna die here. Oh god. How am I not dead? Ah! There. I guess you could always make the argument that like some of them joined them there, but I don't know. I don't know if that squares. I guess you could also make the argument that the page practice got adopted by the Liurnians. Wow. Shh. Yeah, I know. Wow, wow. Loki fell to his death at the very end. What a shocker. There we go. Anyway. Coolio. No, that's Castellanza. Okay, I was wondering if that was part of the fog. So when does the fort start? Right? Castle. Okay, fort is all... Okay, so it is a... Even though, like, it's just, like, across another one of these channels, it's not connected at all, so it's definitely a firmly separate facility from here. Hey, Tyrone. Your man is here. Good to have my man here, I guess. I don't need no man. What are you talking about? Oh, I almost killed myself. I forget, are the dogs normal dogs? Yeah, they're normal dogs. They're not noble dogs. Fun fact that under the waterfall, there's silver fireflies, as you'd expect. That's not crazy. Smithing Stone 6 and stuff. Hey, I am. Well, they're definitely not high pages, so these aren't high-ranking nobles at the very least. They aren't the most influential of nobles. Hey, girl. Shadow Realm rune. Oh yeah, I gotta. The Shadow Realm runes are gonna be the other ones we're gonna have to start looking at. I'll have to look at those at some point. So this guy's always just standing up here, right? He doesn't teleport. He's just normal dude. Honestly, these could just be normal nobles who've had exceptional learning. If you could bring one other culture into this game from another land, which one would you choose? Not China, not Arabia, not Mesoamerican, or something else? Probably... Into this game specifically, we already have not China, with the Lifesteal Fist. Because that's about taking your chi and stuff, and that's a big reference to, you know, Chinese, like, you know, I can't remember if it's Buddhist or Confucius, martial arts and things. I think Arabia would be cool to have in here. I think that could work. Again, if you have something like in Arabia or not Africa or something, you know, something either Middle Eastern or African from the south there, I think that would be cool. Because then you get to kind of have the full coverage of, like, cultures and kingdoms and things. What's the agenda today? I'm looking over stuff involving runes and things of that sort. But I'm currently a little sidetracked. 1 noble, 2 nobles, 3 nobles. I guess you could argue these nobles might be... I suppose you could always argue that these nobles might be brought over from Caria and then they adopted the clothing of the other nobles. But again, then there's the problem of, like, actual nobles coming in here. Nobles take your mind to the other realm, I guess. We already have a dark-skinned staring race, so they should have done more with that, in my opinion, and had the opportunity to with Nefeli, talking about the land she came from, but didn't. Well, Nefeli's just from the vague Badlands, which apparently has similar weather as Stormhill for having Stormhawks and stuff, so... I think if we're trying to make an argument about, like, having, like, you know, more dark-skinned race and stuff like that, yeah, like I said, I'd like a not Arabia, not Africa, you know, something of that nature that could expand on. I don't know if that works with Nefeli per se, because I don't know if the idea is supposed to be Nefeli comes from some other country and is adopted from there, if, like, you know, her skin is because of, I don't know, tanning or something from, like, you know, environment, which again I don't think would be the case if it's supposed to be like you know, kind of, you know, stormy over there, but hey, what do I know? But yeah, I definitely think we should have more defined countries, so it's not just like, you know, random characters like Nefeli who have like a noticeably different skin tone from the rest of the European races. Oh, starting. Yeah, because right now, the only thing we really have for dark skin is Nox, who have, like, you know, basically black skin. Draconians, who have similarly, like, basically black skin. And those all have to do with, you know, dragons, or, you know, working with dragons, or being underground, and, you know, being all about the night and all that stuff. So I don't think we're gonna get anything else from that. Let's see now. Back to my list. Oh, here's another interesting one for hero. There's a hero's rune on Marika's bed in the Fortified Manor. So, jumping off what I was saying earlier in the stream about maybe the Erdtree Avatar having the Erdtree Avatar and Lingdell having a connection to Radagon. Leaving the hero's rune on the bed might be a similar thing where, like, you know, Radagon had the power and strength of a hero, right? But he leaves that behind in Marika's bed because he's Marika when he becomes, when he's going on to become a lord, right? Maybe he's blessed with, like, new power or something. So that would be a potential area to look at. And then one of the tree sentinels that I think this is one of the tree sentinels you fight in at the capital, like right outside the capital outskirts, I think. Might be wrong on that. Spirit Caller's Cave, again, nothing crazy because it's, you know, mountaintops. Like a Bogwood, I don't know if that's relevant or not. Cave of the Forlorn, Snowfield in general. Cave of the Forlorn interests me the most because we find several of those corpses along with the Misbegotten Crusader and stuff, so I don't know if the idea is that those bodies were, like, with the Misbegotten, or they betrayed the Misbegotten. Like, I'm not sure exactly what the angle is there. Farum Azula, again, has tons of these, like, Founder rune. I think the fact that so many, like, Founders and stuff can be found in Farum Azula tells us that, during the war and post-war, there's been a lot of travel to FA, which explains a lot with what we see with Malekith and the tree sentinel, the malformed tree sentinel there, and stuff like that. Lunar Estate runes, Lake of Rot. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that really kind of stands out to me. As like, you know, oh, this is kind of weird. Yeah, Volcano Manor, you know, that we know that they're bringing in lots of knights and founders and stuff like that, and, you know, torturing them and crap. Seathwater Cave. Gelmir Coffin Cemetery. Okay, yeah, this one. If I'm understanding this correctly, that should be this one. Oh, I'm so lost now. Where the hell am I? Where the hell am I? Oh, right here. Okay, good. So this coffin cemetery here has them, which I always find interesting because we have the golden flowers being put here as well. I'm wondering if the idea is that this area was like blessed or whatever because it's on the land of blasphemy, so they consecrate the ground extra here since it's not a hero's grave to kind of thank those soldiers who fought but didn't get the spot in the hero's grave. Because the idea is clearly, you have the hero's grave here, and the coffin cemetery here, right? Do I even need to? I don't think I actually need to. Maybe I can get away with going here. I am... What's the difference between the two? One's for heroes, one's for not. Right? Yeah, okay, it doesn't matter here. It's not going to show it regardless if I... Okay, yeah, something like this would be the angle, right? Something like this, right? Yeah, you got that little arc from the grace point there, but, like, I think that's unavoidable. So we put arc guy here. Because they're heroes, they don't need to be blessed. I assume the idea is that the actual graveyard itself has been properly, you know, consecrated or given, you know, its extra thing, right? While these guys, they're just being buried, you know, on the blasphemed ground without any fanfare. I assume that's the idea. Otherwise, I don't know why this would be why they would distinguish this one from the countless other coffin cemeteries we see, right? It's always the problem, is getting that right angle. I think something like this is the best I'm going to get. Yeah, I think it's the best we're gonna get. Right, because we have to keep in mind, with heroes and stuff, there's the little chapel sections and things like that, so, like, they get, like, there's very clearly, like, a lot of, like, a lot that goes into burying heroes and stuff in terms of ceremony and things, whereas this is obviously much more muted, so it's like, oh, we're just burying you on the land of, blasphemy or whatever, right? So, I think right after the war, it would make sense to be like, okay, let's just, you know, like, let's spread some drops of grace or crap, like, all around here, right? To, like, you know, consecrate this land where you're being put to rest. So I think that makes sense. Something like that. Would have been better if they moved the corpse to the other cemeteries. If they want to go through the effort, I suppose, yeah. But I think for the purposes of the storytelling, the idea is that it's more convenient, and less costly, probably. Like, just overall, they made the judgment call, apparently, to just bury them here, right? Like, you make the case for all those buried everywhere in the area. It's like, why not just bury them back at Lingdell? I think the answer is usually because, I think because the answer is that usually, you know, that's not cost effective, or it's not always practical, or maybe there's an you know, there's an argument for a time limit where you have to bury them as soon as possible or whatever, right? The last one I not as sure about, because, you know, we see lots of bodies getting up from these graveyards every now and then, right? They're filthy pores. Yeah, that too, right? But I think generally the idea is, from the meta perspective, there's obviously the idea that they're trying to tell stories about battles and conflicts and things that happen. So, and then there's the balancing out with gameplay where, oh, we need to have some sort of special reward system here. Okay, we'll put a graveyard here. Well, we need a story for why the graveyard is here. Oh, we'll put this stuff here. We'll have it be like, right? Like, so this is, again, I always try to explain these things to you guys from an in-universe perspective, but I think of them from an out-of-universe Miyazaki development perspective, which is why you'll have me talk about, oh, maybe that's just reusing assets, or, oh, that could just be, you know, them just, you know, wanting to have something there, even if it doesn't make 100% sense how, like, you know, they got through the doorway or something. Like, you have, like, a giant inside a hero's grave and there's no doorway big enough for a giant to possibly enter through the hero's grave or something like that, right? Like, you know, things like that of that nature, you're always looking at it as what are the developers trying to say, right? More so than how do I make this make 100% sense so therefore we can be sure it's canon, right? And this is a problem that I've always, like I was talking with Night Scout earlier, right? With the... I don't agree with the idea of the Crucible Knights and stuff when there's very clearly a pattern with the story being told when you have it, and then you're trying to, like, punch holes in that by being like, oh, well, there's Fallen Hawks and stuff. Well, you gotta fill things in the middle, maybe. That's fine. You also have Fundamentalist Corps and things of that nature, right? But the pattern is very clear of what we see here and what it's drawing down to there, and what, from a meta perspective, what is being foreshadowed when you first go through Shifra and you see a bunch of the land octopuses there. And when you go up and you find the Dragonkin soldier kind of just laying there in the middle of the water, and then there's the corpse under the waterfall with the America's Scar Seal and stuff like that. And like I said, you go up and draw it up there. That's the perspective that I think everyone needs to actually be having in mind when they're looking at this, right? Is yes, we want to make sure we can rationalize this from an in-universe thing, but it can't be a perfect rationalization ever, because this is ultimately a video game, and the developers are using what limited resources they have in order to try to tell us a certain story. Crucible Knights are my favorite enemies. I think we've talked about this before, Tyrone. If not, though, yeah, I can see that. I think they're pretty cool as bosses and enemies and stuff. There's also something else I was told. Apparently this guy has a cuckoo glintstone when he dies. I am very curious about this. Like, this one makes me most... Like, huh? I haven't heard of that. Well, apparently the wiki wrote that down. He's just got Smithing Stone 3 for me. But apparently one of the guys that are these the archers? Apparently one of these guys that are killed by yeah, these are the archers. Yeah, these are the guys who, like, shoot them when you approach the area. They're like, ah, we shall gun you down. Apparently they drop Cuckoo, but again, that could just be wiki misinformation, so... Do it, he says in a Sith voice. Maybe it's low drop rate? It might be. But still, it's weird if that's the case. What is a Langdell soldier at the top of Gelmir doing with the Cuckoo Glintstone? This is so unfortunate. There we go. I could not smash it. I felt so sad. You really like that flower, huh, bud? Ah! I looked at the thing I wanted. I don't care. But yeah, it might be a low drop rate. Which makes me wonder, is it intentional? Right? And that's always the problem. Like when it's like when Xavier brought the Volcano Stones. I found an explanation for it, and I think that might actually be accurate, right? But you never know when some of this stuff could be oversights or glitches or something. Like maybe they had... No, that doesn't make sense though to me. Because shouldn't it be like all Langdell soldiers have the same loop tables? Like why would they... Yeah, like that's the weird part for me. Is like it doesn't make sense for me to how they could have possibly glitched that, you know, or made a mistake there. And, like, is it just the one guy, or is it all of them? Like, I don't have the discovery to make this easy, whether or not this does it, right? Well, like, I'm pretty sure these guys are just normal Langdell soldiers that do all the Langdell soldier things, right? I don't know if they use lightning at all. I think not. I think they're mostly just secular, right? So yeah, that one's a bit weird for me. Hey, Hydrostorm, something's definitely up. Why are you moving so fast? I'm using ×5 speed on camera mod. I can do fun things. Yeah, this is not normal gameplay. I assume you're new to the chat and the channel. Alright, so let's see. First wall here, then reveals the fact that there is a large cave here. Got the one thing here. Second wall here, hiding again the full extent of the cave and stuff like that. We have a Lost Ash of War and a... God, I'm trying to think. Rejuvenating boluses. Like, I know there's something here. I don't want to waste any more of these, so... Turbo mode, baby! Yeah. I always mix up my left and right now. I don't know why this is happening. Okay, so fog wall here hides guys. Pickled Foulfoot. Candlelight shield. Or candle tree wooden shield. Black hood. I don't remember. That I'm gonna have to pull up my doc. Nascent Butterfly, that's it, right? Because the Mikula reference. I find the Pickle Foulfoot particularly interesting because there's the implication of a, and the Rejuvenating Boluses as well, because there's the implication of there being a... Oh, cool how they have the little baskets and stuff here where the water flow is. Yeah, cool. Because it tells us that there's a mission. These are items that you get from missionary cookbooks, but then you also have bandits here, and these are bandits which seem to be associated with Nicola and stuff. Candlelight Shield, the Nascent Butterfly. So I'm curious if the idea is you have a bunch of bandits who were taught by missionaries, or they killed missionaries because they're associated with you know, Nicola's Hailing Tree, and they're sympathetic to that, you know. So you have like kind of like a criminality from, you know, violence between sects, and then these guys are on the run. They're trying to escape from Leyndell soldiers from Morgoth's camp. They hide out in the cave. They get killed by Garrus. They get reanimated. They get put behind a fog wall. So, sorry, not fog wall. You know, illusory wall. So that way, when more soldiers come through, as we see here. So we got the Banished Knight equipment stored away. We got crossbowmen. We got an executioner. We got one spearman boy who might be also related to the spearman up above, right? This one has a stone sword key. You know, a thing that helps you get through walls and barriers and stuff. And this is also by an illusory wall. I assume the reason why Garrus would put it here is because he doesn't want anyone to think about, you know, going further, trying to find, you know, behind all these walls he's putting up to keep people out. The existence of pickled fowl-foot. Suppose the existence of a cucumbered fowl-foot, I suppose. I mean, the Japanese term is more like, you know, it's about being marinated, you know? Right? I mean, pickled's not wrong, right? But obviously, it's not written the same way we say it, we write it when we say pickled in English, right? So, multilingual jokes, man. So yeah, that would make sense if the idea is like, oh, we're pursuing, we want to, you know, get in, break through, find them. Oh, where are they? We go in, they go a little further in, they set up their little camp thing here, and then they also get killed by Garrus and turned into skellies. We have golden arrows here, raptor claws, and I want to say it's another item related to... Yeah, Dragon Wound Grease. Yeah, that's an Apostle Cookbook stuff. So we have some Dragon Cult stuff from the capital. So yeah, these are all supposed to be like, they came from the capital, they get killed, again, stuff gets stored away. Message for don't worry, Hydrostorm. It's okay for you to... It's okay for you to ask questions like that. Like, no one's gonna blame you. And we have the Raptor Claws, which are connected to assassins. We have more the Raptor outfit and stuff behind this illusory wall. There's a double illusory wall here, so there's one here and one here, which is obviously because Garrus is trying to make sure he especially hides. I think it's to highlight how he's especially scared back here of everyone's favorite assassin. I forget, can you buy a... Am I crazy? Can you buy the torch that lets you see the assassins and stuff? Like, I think you can, right? Like, can you buy it from this person or something? Yes? Okay.
Well, divorce.
Yeah, there it is. 7K, huh? We can make 7K. Oh my god, there we go. How many do I get from regular? Well, that was embarrassing. Only 300! Well, 400, almost. wait, it's curved sword. That's convenient. Requires 15 faith. Ah, to get its effect even. How much faith do I have? 10. Okay, yeah, it's not gonna work then. Darn. Alright, then there's no point in getting it. There's no point. You can still... Oh, you can still use it? Okay, cool, cool. It still has its full effects. Probably somewhere up here, right? Yeah, let's look here and... Let's look here then. I think this should... I assume this could be a good farming spot. Otherwise, I guess we could always do good old Albinorix. We could always just torment the Albinorix. Alright, I haven't unlocked this, so I have to go the Bayek way. Yeah, I think Albinorix are going to be the better one. Yeah, because I have to make the jump here. And we all know how I am when it comes to making jumps. Yep. Alright, we'll just do Albinorix then. Because only kill a few of those, and I'm pretty sure we'll have it. I'm curious where the assassin starts out the fight in. I assume it's somewhere in the back there. Alright, there we go. Easy peasy. Alrighty, and then we go here.
Divorce.
There we go. Okay, cool. So what I find interesting about Sage's Cave is that the idea seems to be that Garrus lost his family, right? So now he's like doing like death necromancy crap, I guess, trying to revive them, right? I'm curious what that means for the Rancor call spell, which we find here. Because depending on what Garrus's name might be referencing, I might know who the identity of that Rancor call owner is. Do we get the Ash? It's an Ash of War, right? I think in Stormvale. There we go. Yep. Okay. Just. Yeah, it's so easy. That's so easy to miss. Yeah, let's do it. It's a spell. Oh, right, sorry. You get it from a scarab, though, right? Yeah, it's an ash, but not, you know. Right. You get the spell. You get it from a scarab that rolls up the ash, not an actual Ash of War, right? I forget. It's not just. It's sorceries and stuff aren't included in that. Alright, so we want something like you. Try to see if I want any of the drips and stuff. Honestly, I think I'm better without it. Yeah, we have some destruction and stuff. Something like this, right? So you can actually get some shots of this assassin girl. Oh, there are bodies in here. Oh. Oh. These are actual bodies. Oh, whoopsie. Now here's the question. Is this the assassin's corpse pile or Garrus's? Well, now, this is very curious. I thought these were just destroyed boxes or something. No, there's some conscripted civilians here. So I guess the question is, are these some of the soldiers that Garrus was reanimating? Or were these victims of the assassin? Yeah, so we do have some of the destroyed boxes. They do exist. There's definitely signs of a struggle. So we do have destruction and stuff here. So that much is undeniable. The question is just if the corpse pile has anything to do with that, or if that's more to do with Garrus. Because I'm pretty sure... I'm pretty sure we don't have any of that stuff in, Yeah, I don't think we have any of that stuff, God, there's so much of these drips. There we go. Alright, so scenario seems to be so far, the idea is that you have bandits who kill missionaries are on the run from the law. They try to hide out in the cave, get killed by Garrison, reanimated, hidden behind illusory wall. The law, you know, the law enforcers from Morgoth's camp who have come to execute these criminals who killed missionaries, track them down to the cave. They go search the cave, are not finding the bandits, but decide they're also gonna, you know, set up, you know, base or camp for the night there. They get killed by Garrus and also get turned into skeletons. Garrus might be in the middle of dragging and using those bodies for his rituals, his necromancy stuff, right? Right? But then a Black Knife Assassin comes in and says, oh, I'm going to, this is a perfectly good camp, I'm going to take this. Black Knife Assassin starts killing Garrus's Albinoric servants that are working with him, or for him. Garrus, who only sees that this is some invisible force, probably thinks he's getting haunted, considering his whole thing with the supernatural or whatever, right? So he's, you know, he's very in tune with all that. So he probably thinks he's getting haunted. So he flees in terror, while his servants get strung up and made examples of to kind of ward off people from coming into the Black Knife Assassin's new camp, right? Living here, living the good life. Meanwhile, Garrus actually goes and hides out in a nearby cavern over here. Bringing some. Oh no, there's still some destroyed stuff and things here. So I don't think that we can use that for full credibility, right? On the conflict. Granted, the argument could be that Garrus is like, you know, he's in a rush. He's got lots of, you know, he's getting sloppy and things here. It's definitely intended to talk about how he's using the contents and stuff. So. Are there piles of dead commoners like that in other places? Yeah. We have a few areas. Like, one area that comes to mind is, Castle Morn. So... Oh, right. I'm technically in a boss fight. Let's make sure I can get the last of the stuff here. Are there any other corpse piles and stuff I should be aware of? No, this is really cool, just having a random one here in the corner. Yeah, that actually was a nice touch. Anyway. But no, like, the first example that comes to mind for me is, Castle Morn. Because, in the Misbegotten, Leonine Misbegotten boss area, you have a bunch of those around the graves and stuff leading up to the hero's grave. It's like, oh, all those soldiers for, what's-his-face, Edgard, that are making their, you know, their final stand against the Misbegotten as he tries to go in to claim the Morn hero's sword. So, like, we have that example there. I don't think it's used too frequently. We also, if I recall correctly, we also see that at Gelmir, right? I'm pretty sure. Let's go here first. So yeah, like here we have the quote-unquote Moan Grave. Right. I can't tell if it's the same asset. I think it is, because I think it also has the generic bodies that are used underneath the commoner, conscripted commoner bodies. Right? But yeah, they have those all across here. As an asset thing. I don't think there's here. I don't recall any here. Might be in Redmane Castle. There might be some in Redmane Castle. I know there's body piles, but I don't remember if there were any of the conscripted commoners were there. I know that we have them set alight at the stake, right? Yeah, we have they use the conscripted commoners here, but they use it with they use it like to help like edge out and help give some variety to the giant generic piles they put here. I can't believe one of these guys just fell through the floor or something. Like, he must have gotten stuck on a corner and somehow glitched out of collision. I don't know how the hell he just fell to his death randomly like that. That was such a weird moment on stream. No, I don't think it's an offering, because, again, Night Scout, whenever we're seeing these body piles and stuff, it's usually being used to tell a story. Like, the story here being told is, well, lots of bot people, including probably insubordinate soldiers and stuff, people who are not dedicated to the cause, are being thrown to the lions here. We see the same thing over at Fort Gale. So yeah, I don't think there's any, like, oh, they're offering up bodies. If they wanted to do that, they could probably do that by just using, like, 1 or 2 corpses, like, right before the grave and have, like, an item or something there. I feel like that would have been the way that it would have been done, considering what we see elsewhere. Like, again, take the Celeria Knight with the Sinner corpse before the altar on the Erd tree in Lingdell. Something like that. Hey Loki, hey Sub-Zero. I was discussing with some online about what when the Crusade happened. They say that the Omen Curse to have weight, Mohg and Morgoth should be born after the Crusade. Yes. I would, yes, that is consistent with my understanding of the timeline. That especially when you have frickin' Hornsent Grandma Man going like, oh, a curse upon America, curse upon ye, da, 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 right? It's like, oh, so this is where the Omen Curse comes from, right? The idea that all the quote-unquote children of America, all the citizens of her kingdom, her golden order, because that's something you have to understand is when you're listening to you're listening to Hornsent Grandmama like going on and on about children and stuff. She clarifies, especially in the JP text, how in the JP script she's especially clear that like when she's talking about like the children of America and stuff, she's not talking about the demigod strictly. She's talking about Messmer and all the people who followed Messmer. So all the people of the Erd tree essentially, right? Like those are all the quote unquote children of America. But again, like I was saying earlier, again, more bodies being thrown to the lions. Where else is this used? Like I said, Gelmir, I know it's used. Obviously, we have the body piles and stuff out there, but I don't think it has any conscripted soldiers. I think, though, where is it? God, now I'm not remembering where I remember seeing it. Maybe Guest Hall has some? Maybe? Oh, yeah, it's in the middle of the town. Yeah, that's where it is. But that would make Radahn, who already should exist before Messmer, went when Radahn is older than Morgoth. I recommend Sub-Zero, again, take the link to the description of this video. You'll get to my website. I recommend reading my Gaius article, because I talk a lot about the stuff with Radahn related to, the stuff involving Radahn related to, Messmer and things like that. I think you're under the misunderstanding that because Messmer has Radahn as a brother, that therefore Radahn must have been a brother alive and well for the events that we see. Yeah, see more of these bodies here, all the way down there. Right. Yeah, Morgon and Mo can be natural born, but they're born cursed. That's sort of the point, is that the entire Omen incident is essentially basically, at least this period, I don't know, I assume it stopped. I assume we started having normal babies at some point, but it seems to be this period of curses happening where basically, for whatever reason, now we can say for certain it was related to the Horn Senate. Because originally I thought, okay, maybe it has to do with the way that the Crucible was dying, like maybe there's some connection there and all that jazz. But it seems to be pretty clearly now that it's more so related to the Crusade itself and Marika and her people getting cursed. So all the babies that they're having are Horn Sent children. And that seems to basically just kind of happen for a while and then stops. There sure is a lot of dead bodies at the most distant part of the entire castle, though. Did Edgar launch a mini-siege to get the sword back? I think it's more so that Edgar had a lot of soldiers who were, because, again, he makes a point of how important this treasure sword is and stuff like that. Like, they don't want people, you know, defiling the graves to steal something like that. So, I think it makes sense to have a lot of soldiers stationed there to be like, hey, make sure you defend the graves. They can't get their hands on that sword, right? And we just are there, and Edgar is fortunate enough that by the time that the Misbegotten gets the sword, we come in to kill him. Right. That seems to be the idea. We also have the bodies over here, but I think those are, I don't remember if those are conscripted soldiers. I actually want to go back and check that. But yeah, whenever they want to show, like, there's a mixture of some of the Erdtree army stuff, they seem to use the conscripted soldier models. Yeah, these are, yeah, okay, yeah, there's a few of them. Yeah, they got a few of them mixed here, right? Yeah, so they got a lot of, like, generic, like, Dark Souls 3 hollow corpses, right? But then they mix that with a few of the conscript soldier guys. So yeah, the idea is very clear that when they have giant body piles, they just use generic stuff for the most part. But then when they want to make sure that soldiers and stuff, they'll intermix a few of them in there. As I said before, I'm not sure if it's necessarily that the Misbegotten don't have stats for the sword, especially when you take the Radahn one at Redmane Castle into consideration, especially. I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of they did not have the time, effort, wanting to actually, you know, integrate the swords of each of these Misbegotten. They already had the generic model, and I think they just used that, personally. I think Crusader's the only one, because based on cut content, the Misbegotten were actually going to be, you know, Radagon connected. That's where I stand on that one. I've read the Radahn chapter a few days ago and do have some questions, but I don't think I recall anything that cleared that part up. It's not in Radahn, it's in Gaius. I recently did a post on Gaius Sub-Zero. So again, I recommend going to my guide page, and you'll find something on Gaius and on the Great Jar, and that covers some of the lore related to Radahn that I don't include there. I also don't have anything on the whole post-resurrection Miquella stuff, because I'm still debating whether I should include that in the proper Radahn thesis, or if I should wait on anything related to Miquella to do it. Maybe I'll include it and I can move it later. I don't know. Ah, okay, cool. Yeah. The Gaia stuff is more recent. I also only recently did an update to Radahn, which included more DLC stuff. So you may have not have read that updated article. Do the conscript corpses in the piles have the metal neck collar or just the tree board? I think it's just the tree board. Let me double check for you guys. I could be wrong, so let's try to get a good look at one of these guys. Oh no, these are the guys. They have the collar. Yeah, these are the bearded ones with the collar that I think we see in Lingdell, right? Because I don't think we see any bearded conscripted soldier people. So I guess that was the corpse model that they decided they would use, huh? Hey, Saint Meme. Hi, cutie. Still falling to your death? Oh, yeah. I totally am. All day, every day, it feels like. Alright. Oh, these aren't bodies. I recently added pages to Age of Plenty. I included the stuff with, like, the... I didn't mention the collars, per se, because I'm not sure if those are, like, just, like, regular things or not, right? Though, hey, maybe worth comparing to what we got with some of the soldiers here. buddies. Oh, damn it! The texture did show. Okay. It looks like it's different to me. Yeah, it's a different design. Anyway, so let's go back up here. Oh! Yeah, they don't have the collars on these guys, huh? Interesting. They gave them the beard. It's the bearded model, but they don't got the collars. Neat. So master by policy need to be forcibly conscripted, while the lack of the collar notes rogue commoners or volunteers. It could also be if we're building off that idea, it could also be like a timeline thing. Like the ones we see dead here are mostly those who first volunteered when Leyndell was first attacked. But the ones we're seeing still there that are pressed into service after all this time has passed since the first defense of Leyndell have been, you know, forcibly pressed into service in line with their, you know, the board around their neck, right? It's like, hey, you're not showing your faith proper. That could be the idea. It could also just be for decoration. I mean, that's always the possibility. Because they really wanted to show they were prisoners. They could do the page thing and put, like, shackles around their arms. But maybe that was too much effort. Maybe that was more work. Who knows? Only the frenzy commoners? No one's enslaving them yet. Rogue necromancers and Gelmir slaves who'd be burned don't wear the collars. Rogue necromancers. I assume the idea would have to be that the necromancer guys specifically would have to be that they are they were conscripts because they still have the board around their neck. I have to imagine the idea is that they're conscripts who, for one reason or another, are involved in resurrecting the dead for some reason, or they decided they would go off and resurrect the dead. Could also be that they're connected to the Mausoleum Knights. If we're going with the whole Deathbird connection with the Knights and all that, it could be that those are some of the last surviving Necromancer boys who are involved in the rituals for creating the Mausoleum Knights and soldiers. Anyway. Hey, I just remember the tree spear weapon. The spear is in a carriage in between Limgrave and Lyra, which states to use the Royal Guards of Leyndell, but I don't think the spear soldiers use these. No, the Royal Guard of Leyndell we never see. Keep in mind that there, I can't remember if it says just Royal Guard or Royal Guard Knights. I think it's just Royal Guard. But, the term for Royal Guard, you know, or Royal Personal Guard or Imperial Guard could, obviously, if you're dealing with, like, you know, like a Chinese Empire or something like that, right? But, the general idea is that they are guards that we don't see alive, but they did exist, and at least one of them seems to have, like, you know, gone over to Godric and stuff when he was leaving the capital, along with that tree sentinel boy we see there in Limgrave and things like that. So the general idea seems to be that all the royal guards have died, or they're, you know, otherwise absent, and the only royal guards that are left are those that are belong to the personal demigods, right? Like their personal guards among the royal guard. So you have, like, Radahn establishes his, you know, after becoming a general. Godwyn seems to establish his after becoming a hero in the Ancient Dragon War. I guess Melania, you could say, also kind of has hers, though they're never called her personal guards, so you can argue they're just, like, separate, like, knights and stuff who serve her, right? But, like, you know, whenever you become someone kind of, like, you know, a big deal, you start having personal bodyguards. Which, by the way, I'm just gonna say it, those personal bodyguards really failed during the Night of the Black Knives. The Catacombs Necromancers and the Fiat Cultist ones don't wear the metal collar. Fiat Cultist ones, which ones are the Fiat Cultist ones? I don't recall. Oh, you mean the ones we find here, the Death Cult ones. So Ancient Knights, wish they were in the game. Yeah, basically. I mean, there's a lot of Ancient Knights. Crucible Knights are technically Ancient Knights, right? Some of the capital soldiers in Lingdell might be Ancient Knights. But yeah, the basic idea is that they, you know, we get their weapon, but they never made an enemy or NPC model for them. If I had to guess, like if I had to make a guess, I would be surprised if the Tree Spear had completely different lore attached to it at one point. And then they kind of just changed it to say Royal Guard or whatever, so they could help make some more Godric connections. And they kind of just left it at that. Yeah, the Deathblight. Yeah, the guys who use the Deathblight spells and stuff. Yeah, yeah. I completely forgot about them for a second there. I was like, because they don't use the staff thing. So I was like, well, does Fia also have, like, necromancing, reviving skeleton, you know, commoners? Alright, so we got that. Okay, yeah. So there we have is Garrus seems to lose his family, becomes obsessed with necromancy. Mission, like I said earlier, you know, bandits kill missionary, flee pursuit, hide out in cave, get killed, get hidden. Morgoth's forces come in, ready to execute the missionary killers. They don't find him. They decide they'll just den in there. Okay, we're fine. Pursuit, they get killed, turn into skeletons themselves, right? You keep adding the layers of fog walls, you know, illusory walls and stuff. But the big thing is that an assassin gets in while Garrus is doing rituals involving some of the Morgoth forces that were coming in there. So like he's reviving more bodies to become like skeleton servants and stuff like that, right? When the assassin comes in, starts killing his Albinaurics and stuff, he uses them as basically cover to escape his quote-unquote haunting, flees to another cave, you know, puts up illusory walls and stuff to hide himself, right? So all that, you know, it's a fun little storyline here. But the question is, why is Garrus hiding in this cave in particular? And why the raptor assassin stuff there, which don't seem to have any skeletons or whatever directly attached to them to juxtapose there, right? So it's not like, oh, you have the military camp, you have the bandit camp, and then you have the actual relevant skeletons right there. I'm thinking the idea is, especially when you have like the different armor pieces and weapons in like different chests and stuff, I think he's just collected it from Gelmir. I think Gelmir is Ravenmount before, yeah, I think Gelmir is Ravenmount before the Snake God took over. I think something happened here. I don't know if it's like, I don't know, like the snake ate the bird or whatever, you know? We had a Black Swan moment. But, yeah, I think this is the Ravenmount where the assassins are from. And then the assassins just kind of changed where, the old assassins are obviously the Raven folks. But, where is it? But now it's like, now it's the what is it, the Formless Serpent or whatever it's called, right? I think the idea is like, it's still, you know, they still train assassins and stuff there on Gelmir, but it just changed from being about crows to being about, crows and deathbirds to being just about, you know, snakes and, you know, poison. Bodies! Ooh. Mix it up here. Soldiers in camps. Fish, night weapons. Ugh. You hear crows here, but I don't see crows. Right? Like, you can hear crows around. Have a good scream. Don't die too often. I'll try Saint Meme. Wait, who the hell are those annoying-ass sorcerers in the DLC Catacombs? Why is there no item description that mentions them? I have not thought about them that much. I have only seen the stuff that Zuli's come out with, so... Yeah, like, you hear crows everywhere in the ambiance. I don't know if that's common. Is that common in the game? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Is that common? Like, do we have crows in areas where there's lots of death, or is it just here? Because I feel like I remember hearing it, but, you know, maybe I'm deaf. Only here, I think. Yeah, that might be a... Obviously, you know, lots of, you know, there's so much death in Gelmir that if you had to pick one location, this would probably be the one to use all the carrion crows, here. But it could also be a hint of the history of the place, and that this is Crow Mountain. Or was Crow Mountain. Since the item descriptions never actually tell us if Crow Mountain, quote-unquote, still exists as we know it. You know, it's just called, like, you know, the Assassins of Crow Mountain or whatever. Or, I guess I should use the localization name, Raven Mount. You can see black birds flying around. Not close by, though, right? Only from a distance. Like, let's go from here. Alright, I think we're almost done, chat, so let's just look at this so I can confirm how it works with the blackbirds. Yeah, they don't have it here where the bodies aren't that thick. Yeah, it's only here as we get to, like, the major body piles. Oh, there they are, yeah. Okay, yeah, so they're just flying high overhead. That's not easy to see them always. But yeah, they're all around. You see them fly up as you're going up from the Lanedale soldiers? Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Yep, so they load pretty far too. It's not like they suddenly just pop up. Yeah, you start hearing them as you get closer. Yeah, so I'm thinking that the reason why Garrus has a cave that he's denning in at the foot of Gelmir, right? Is because he's going around, and we know his weapon is forged from the same red copper as the Snakemen shields. It's the same material. So he's 100% like he's been through the lava areas of Gelmir, right? Which is presumably why that unique copper, where that unique copper is made, right? So he's 100% been there. He used it to help make his little, like, vessel for his family's vengeful spirits. So then the question is, what happened if... And again, presumably he collected the assassin equipment while going around. Like, he's finding relics of Gelmir's past before the Snake God. This actually makes me wonder now. This makes me wonder, what if Jagged Peak was also associated with the Twin Bird Mother? Like, what if it was like a migration thing? So, like, this was Raven Mount, right? And it was the home of the Death Birds. right? Or rather, it's the home of the twin bird mother thing, right? But like migratory birds, she actually went between here and Jagged Peak in the south. So it'd be something like, you know, sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm over here, right? We know Jagged Peak is obviously here. So sometimes she's closer to Far Missoula, sometimes she's closer to Altus. And she would kind of travel through, then Snake God showed up. Obviously, Bale shows up here, Snake God shows up here, and I wonder if it's something like the Snake God ate the twin bird mother. If so, that could put the relationship between the snake and Melina, Glowmite Queen, into perspective. It might not just be because the Snake God wanted to rebel that the Glowmite Queen might have been, you know, cooperating from there. Or both, since the twin bird. Maybe that's true. It could all, because we don't know if the twin birds are one or if they're like two separate entities who are like intrinsically connected or something, like a Radigan America situation, right? It could be, yeah, like you said, it could be like, it might not be like a double-headed bird. It could be like, you know, two sides of the same coin, but they have separate avatars that are able to act independently. So you have one on Jagged Peak, one on, Gelmir. Ooh, actually, do we have the shield? I do not. I want to look at the coloration, because isn't one of them like black and the other one gold on that shield? Or am I misremembering how they depict it? Because I wonder if the idea is like the black one was here and the gold one was here next to Far Missoula when the Elden Ring was there. You get it from the Deathbird at Langdell? Okay. Yeah, and the fact you get the shield from there definitely could add to it. The problem is we don't find any Deathbirds here on the actual mountain, but granted, they have a lot of other stuff here. And the fact that we have it from the Langdell one over here. And we know that all the culture here on the plateau was part of, because of the Altus Blooms. Oh yeah, the Altus Blooms too. Like, one thing I've talked about was the idea that I was trying to think if Altus Blooms and their gold and stuff were, if they're buried with death in the old age before the Erd Tree, that Altus Blooms and stuff, that means that the gold existed on the plateau before the Erd Tree. But now with what if Gelmir is firmly Raven Mountain stuff, that might not actually be the case. The gold thing might have come later, right? Unfortunately, I don't know enough about plants, so I don't know if this is based on a plant which actually basically I don't know if this I don't know if the Altus blooms here or Altus flowers. I don't know if it's possible that they could have been not gold, and then it's only the Erd Tree that makes them gold. But the plant itself actually predates the Erd Tree. Now I gotta wonder that. The feathers are blue and red like the DLC area. Okay. So it's not. There's no golden, black, dichotomy there. Okay. Because we have spider lilies, right? And those are like traditional. Like Japan has always had spider lilies representing death. Then you have the cerulean flowers, which I don't recall those being a special species. I don't remember. Oh no, you remember? You're talking about the actual like feather talismans. Okay, yeah, the feather talismans are definitely red and blue. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think Garrus I think definitely came to Gelmir with the Sage's Cave to do this stuff. Now when I was trying to look up what his name may be referencing, it may be referencing a film from about 20 years back, a famous French film apparently, that involves a man who has a wife and 3 children, and we know that the weapon is made for a wife and 2 child. So it could be that the third child is the guy who has the sorcery there, and that's why they mentioned the revival and stuff. Now, it could be it's completely independent of Garrus, has nothing to do with it. Yes, he resurrected it, but this is like part of the Kandri or stuff like that. Could be true. It could be that it could be that that's what it's all about, maybe. Or it could be that Garrus just had an apprentice or something who brought the thing to other areas, and then the person's like, "Oh, there's this curse affecting Stormvale. Let's investigate. Oh, look, it's all has to do with death and Godwin." Twinbird Kite Shield also has the red and blue. Okay, so definitely red and blue is the main color scheme then. Okay, good. It drops from the Deathbird near the Morn Graveyard, just above the Fia Cultist tree. Yeah, again. Yeah, it comes here. So yeah, that could be them trying to allude to how this plateau area was once Deathbird territory, right? That could be the idea we got there. And the idea is that you essentially have Deathbirds that have territory all across all of this. This, though, has been more or less completely destroyed by Marika's kingdom and the Snake God. So Snake God, you know, obviously adds one layer to this. Then Marika, her control over the plateau, does her own layer here. But then Marika trying to, eradicate the Snake God's own cult adds another one there, right? And you got Sage Garrus. But yeah, I want to look into that French film and stuff to see if it's really there. It could be a reference to the film just because of the number of children and stuff and the mother or whatever. And that's it. Like, there's no, like, deeper meaning there. But at the very least, I am curious if the film has any, like, potential thematic parallels that could be. Because it seems very obvious that, something happened to Garrus' family. He's clearly, especially with the Albinoric stuff, he's from, like, Liurnia. Probably some very major person in, the Karian household. Could be a professor. I mean, what do they call him? The sorcery provost or whatever, like Miriam and Selvus and crap. So it could be one of those, but then turns to death, starts reviving ancient death conjuries from his research over at Gelmir and places into preceptors. Yeah, okay, that's what they call them in English. The preceptors. Thank you. So it does all that. Obviously, Deathbirds are still around and stuff, so they're doing their own thing. We do find other sorceries, though. Like, we find a sorcery from a Deathbird here. I wonder if that's because of Ordina, if the idea is, like, you have some sorcerers that are like, ooh, I'm gonna go dabble. And some of them, like, created sorceries that, I guess, got them killed because they got too close to the Deathbird, and the Deathbird, took them and their sorcery and added them. I guess that would be the idea. We have something similar here. We get a sorcery from the Deathbird in one of these areas, right? And then we obviously get the axe here, which we've talked about before being possibly a meta allusion to what Miquella's doing over here. So it's like, haha, let's get it, because, they did this ancient times of the death thing, and now Miquella's doing it today. Would Garrus have taught all the scythe-wielding Grave Wardens? Are their arts the ones he revived, or is it parallel discovery? I think it's parallel discovery. That's what I'm talking about here. Is like, I think when we have sorceries here that don't specifically mention Garrus, because specifically the one that Garrus is talking about reviving is Rancor Call. So, again, Rancor Call in the Japanese means, like, vengeful or wrathful spirit call, right? It's a reference to the cursed spirits that you see referenced in elsewhere. And the idea is, of course, yeah, he calls spirits, and we see with his weapon. He calls his family's vengeful spirits with the weapon he made, as a vessel for them, right? So yeah, that makes sense that he revived that conjuring. But then we have, I'm pretty sure we get one sorcery here. I forget what we get from the Deathbird in Caelid. We get another sorcery here, and it just so happens that both cases, it's near where sorcerers would be at magic towns. I don't think that's coincidence. So I think the idea is there's been parallel discoveries. It's not just Garrus. There have been others who have, they're curious. They observe the Deathbirds and stuff. They dabble, but sometimes, you get too close and you end up dead. How similar is the JP name of Rancor Call to the JP name of the Watchful Spirit incantation? Oh, I think they might use the same term, but I have to look. I'll show you that one on the Discord later, Night Scout, because I do not remember and I don't want to pull it up right now. Because I think I want to start ending things soon. So let's try to wrap things up here. So, but yeah, I think it's the same terminology if I recall correctly, but I have to double check. I might be wrong, because it might use a term for actual curse, like an actual curse spirit or something. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I don't remember. Okay, so yeah, we don't need you here. Yeah, so we have Axe. We have Deathbird here. We have other Deathbird here, and I don't know. I think one of them gives you the spear, right? One of them gives you the spear, and one of them gives you the sorcery. And then there's the one in Caelid, which I don't remember what the one in Caelid does. We talked about the one that gives you the kite shield, which could be a reference to the stuff that's going on the western side here with Gelmir, right? And obviously, again, especially after the DLC, we know for sure how the Sun Capital was all up in the Deathbird cult stuff. The one in the mountaintops gives the spear. Oh, this one gives the spear. The one that's here. Okay. Okay. I have no idea what the second one that's down here gives. Normal Deathbirds gives the branch sword. Oh, yeah! It's probably the talismans, yeah. That's the one. The Caelid and Lyrian one, it's probably talismans. That fills that in, okay. There's also the one here, actually. That one might actually have the talisman. Limgrave 1 drops the talisman. So Limgrave 1 here drops talisman. Man, the ambiance in this place is a little... Just hearing some of those, like, faint moans or whatever it is. Like, I don't know if that's supposed to be the wind, but... Alright, so looking at its totality, it looks like, yeah, definitely Garrus is not the only one who's dabbled. He's specifically focused on calling forth the spirits, because he wants to call forth the spirits of his loved ones, right? I don't know what that means for what happened to them, especially if he has a connection to sorcerers and Albinaurics. Could be, oh, you know what? Could be they were killed by the Cuckoos. Maybe that's why we have the Lanedale Soldier with the Cuckoo Glintstone? Because, like, Garrus has been around. He has some Cuckoo Glintstone on him, and he's been, like, working alongside... He's been, like, kind of, like, you know, paying off the arm. I don't know. The Caelid one drops the Death's Poker. That's the one that was used for... Oh, yeah. It's the one that's used for, you know, dealing with embers and flame. Of course, the one in Caelid gives that one. Of course. Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me then. Oh, yeah. Because we know the Albinaurics and the Carians have a connection, right? And we have, like, actually, like, this is another example for what Night Sky was talking about earlier. We have conscripted commoners among the dead here. So we know that, the Carians, or people who were on, yeah, obviously we have the spirit guy here, right? So you have, like, you know, I don't even need to use the torch here. You can see, like, one of them in the well, you know, the other one's here, mixed in, right? So we clearly have the idea that, the Albinaurics, you have the second gens that are going out to fight the Cuckoos personally, but you have conscripted commoners and stuff probably working for House Caria in this civil war that were helping protect the Albinauric place. Obviously, they didn't do a good job considering what an Omen Killer and a one Perfumer, Dupre Perfumer, were able to do, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. Right? I don't think this massacre, though, is connected to Garrus directly, but it could be something like what we see here at the King's Realm ruins. Like, maybe he's a survivor of the King's Realm ruins, and him and his surviving kid go up to do the death stuff here. Then the kid leaves with the basic Rancor call, ends up to presumably investigate death more, ends up at Stormvale. But Garrus comes up, he has, like, Cuckoo stuff from some of the Cuckoos he's killed. Ooh! Ooh! What if Garrus is the owner of the Revenger Shack before Edgar? Because the shack is here, and called the Revenger Shack, whether or not you do Edgar's questline. I don't remember if the Misbegotten bodies are here. if you haven't done Edgar's thing yet. That I don't recall. Oh. Because I haven't done it right now, right? Like, I haven't done the Edgar thing. Yeah, they don't. The Misbegotten bodies aren't here yet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we should be seeing some of them already. If I recall correctly, the Misbegotten bodies only show up once Edgar is insane. Okay. In that case, it's possible that the Revenger Shack belonged to Garrus and his family. Like, there's the temple corridor here and stuff like that, and we can see from the... Because we do see from the... Following the... So you have some of these burned trees because of our good old pal, the dragon over here, right? So we have some burnt trees and stuff which seem to have survived even with the flooding and things like that, right? So you have some of these charred trees instead. So you have some of these ones over here. And of course, we have all the land octopuses. They're like, bodies, right? Blood, right? So you have a bunch of them congregating here where all the burning and stuff happened, right? But then you have them continue all the way over to the shack, which would again suggest that there was a lot of connection with not just, Liurnians, but with, the sorcerer astrologer types especially migrating here. So this could be trying to tell us that, yeah, this is where Garrus worked and lived and commuted and stuff. I think the ghost talked about Edgar is already here, though. Check near the shore for him, sure. I don't see him. Yeah, let's confirm here, just to be extra sure. Is he on land, Night Scout, or is he, like, in the water? Or should we just, like, see him easily either way? Because I don't see him coming up here. Yeah, he's not here. So yeah, I think that ghost and the Misbegotten, yeah, all that stuff with Edgar is there. Now, it could be that this is just retrojection. The game the developers assume that most players are going to have done Edgar's quest, so they're just going to call it the Revenger Shack because of that. But I have to wonder now if there could be a different Revenger. You have, if you have Garrus. Because there are already bodies. Oh, wait, yeah, because there are already some bodies here and stuff too, right? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this more, chat. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like try to sort this out more though, but we might be onto something here. Yeah, the whole story with Garrus might be this longer, convoluted mess than we thought. Because this makes sense then, right? Because we have like the Cuckoos ever jail before, right? And whether or not this is a troll knight who got imprisoned by the Cuckoos, or the Cuckoos, he could defect into the Cuckoos, or whatever. However you wanna take that. It's very clear the idea is that you have the Cuckoos essentially trying to stand between to cut off Caria from the Albinorix and stuff, right? Which is why we have the second gens relying on their own power to help try to go out and bring the fight to the Cuckoos out at their town thing. We have, of course, the converted tower here with its own little protection stuff. Yeah, this could be a case where the Cuckoos, being the Cuckoos, they caught Garrus and his family, like Garrus's family got caught in the crossfire of their, pillaging and crap. And then Garrus, is like, "Oh no, my family." And then he starts trying to, takes the bodies, maybe again, like I said, assuming that the idea Garrus is a reference to that French film where it's all ironically apparently a bad-tempered wife, get it, because they're, angry, wrathful, vengeful spirits, right? And some rambunctious, unruly children, right? So if the idea is like, there's 3 children, but 2 of them died, and then the last one becomes like kind of like an apprentice to Garrus and kind of like accompanies and works with him. Yeah, that could work. Like I said, I just need to know what the bodies that, because I know more bodies appear here with Edgar, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's more than just this one. Yeah, I remember there being a lot more in here. that Edgar kills. So at the start, it's just this one. So this is the one that they're saying this has no connection to Edgar. And I want to know what this body has. It could be a generic item, could be something silly. But I wonder if it's a Cuckoo connected item. Because if it is, then yeah, there's something to be said there. It could actually be that the Langdell soldier with the Cuckoo Glintstone all the way up here. Yeah, like right here. That gets shot down by the puppets from you know, Volcano Manor that we see here, along with obviously we have frenzied Troll Boy to make these guys go frenzied as well. Yeah, that could be a connection. It could either be referencing that like Garrus has interaction with some of the Langdell soldiers that were fighting against Rykard up here, or alternatively that like, you know, he left it behind or something like that. Like now I want to look at Volcano Cave, see if there could be a connection there, and this general location. Yeah. Yeah. If I remember right, Volcano Cave has it has a like an area where the soldiers were like staying at and stuff. All right, and then we're wrapping things up, Jack. Because like I said, I think I wanna be done already. I need this stream to end. I got other things I gotta work on. Yeah, God, this is a rabbit hole I'm going down. Let's see if it bears any fruit. Am I crazy? Don't you get the jar cannon from here or something? Maybe it's from where I drop? Back here, maybe? Yeah, it's back here. Okay. Yeah, because we have the okay, so this is like a Langdell camp thing. You got some of the Banished Knight equipment. Wow, quite the breeze. Few guys dead here. Yeah, I want to see what all the bodies here have. Okay. Alright. I want to look at Volcano K. I want to look at some of the areas. It might just be General Gelmir I have to look at in the larger scope of things. But yeah, I'm becoming incredibly suspicious now. There might be more going on than just, there might be more going on with Garrus and stuff than just in Sage's Cave. He might be connected to some of the other areas.
Please.
Confessor. That makes sense because, again, next to Shaded Castle, right? So you have the merchant here who covers a good deal of basically, like, everything from, like, Wraithblood Ruins and stuff. Like, basically all the stuff in this area. Obviously, we have this merchant guy here who covers all the stuff in, like, this area. Mostly in the capital outskirts itself. And then you have Gelmir here, which is, like, you know, would cover all the stuff around here, right? So Shaded Castle, not surprised that the Confessor stuff is there. Same with the Sinner stuff on Gelmir. It's like, oh wow, Sinner's on Gelmir. I'm so shocked. Explosive Great Bolt, Volcano Stones, Ballista. Again, this is on a defensive placement, right? Like, obviously, ballistas, arrows, like, stuff is flying. We also get the Through and Through Ash of War in Gelmir around here. So, again, this all makes sense to me. Again, this makes sense, and this makes sense. Okay. Because you can have freaking Stone Sword keys basically anywhere. Alright, I think... Get a shot there. Yeah, look at some of the items here and stuff like that. See if there's any other hints to cuckoos or whatever. The only other thing I can think of for the Cuckoo Glintstone as an explanation is that the puppets might have had it and the guy collected it from it. But again, it's a weird thing that you would point that out with a loot table for one guy. Again, this is assuming the wiki's right, it's not just trolling. It's so hyper-specific, I want to believe it's not trolling, and this guy does in fact have cuckoo. But that might be a pain to try to confirm. Alright. Alright. I think that's enough, chat. So we've gone over runes. That was thankfully rather quick. Because most of them make sense where they are. There's only a few, like, outliers where it's like, okay, maybe there's something more going on there. I'm very happy about this Garrus stuff, though. Because I've been wanting to see... I've been trying to confirm if Gelmir's Raven mount for a while now. And now that I'm, like... I had a vague idea with Garrus, I think, once upon a time, but I never really, like, explored it that deeply. But now that I'm coming back to it, and I'm trying to, you know, fully flesh out the scenario with Garrus in the cave, and now looking at some of the larger picture of some of the stuff, and, like, where Garrus has to come from and things, I think we might be onto something really major. So, like, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to develop that further in the future, see what I can come up with. But like, yeah, I'm excited. Thanks so much, guys, for chatting again, throwing all your ideas at me and stuff like that. We got a lot. I think covered today. Honestly, a lot more than you think. Yeah, I'm super looking forward to seeing where we go from here on this. I don't know if I'm gonna cover Garrus anytime soon, but maybe I'll do a Twitter thread on him if I'm really happy with the findings we have. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Bye.